Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are officially announcing the top 32 teams in the game that have made it to the Roots of War League inaugural Season 1 playoffs. Now, as you may know, there are basically three branches. We have Strife Conference Legendary, Epic, and the Newcomer Conference. Strife, Legendary, and Epic are basically split into kind of an upper and a lower bracket, or a winners and a losers bracket, if you will. Newcomer is for any kingdoms that are not in the season of Strife or have made it to essentially the quote-unquote fourth season. We are going to be breaking down and giving you a quick highlight run through for all the matches that were played this last Sunday, and then we're going to show you the top 32 teams as well and talk a little bit of predictions, because I am looking forward to making predictions on these as well, and I'm sure with others. And, we'll see where the pieces fall. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us out, because it helps out a lot. Thanks. Okay, let's get to the goods. So we've updated the sheet. I'm going to be porting this over to the public one as well. But for now, let's just go through the winners and the losers from the champs round 2, or preliminaries round 2, we should say, and are now the current division champions. In Division 1, remember, purple is Legendary Strife, pink is Epic Strife. So we got WB was facing off against NM. They ended up coming out on top, winning 76,000 points to 3,000. FF ends up beating out ST, 74,000 to 2,700. As we get to Division 2, we have BTX beating out BEK here, 87,000 to 96. Seam beating out Horde, 45,000 to 18,000. Then we get to Division 3. Here we have EIS beating out DK, 79,000 points to 2.3K. We have RP beating out MFS as score of 51,000 to 14,000. Now, this is, you could argue, maybe is a little bit of an upset. Remember, anyone that's in yellow highlighted means there's more than 100 million power differential, or a 0.1 that we're putting in, at least for bare minimum for now. Here, there's 420 million power that separates them. But again, RP gets the W here, and it seems like winning convincingly. So again, a little bit of a shadow, maybe dark horse W, depending on how that match went. Of course, you'd always have to go and watch. Division 4, 30 NA beating out WW here, 84,147. We have CFN beating out Wind, 40,000 to 23,000. Then we get Division 5. We got Echo beating out BTW, 87,836. BB beating out Luna, 79,000 to 1,200. Getting to Division 6, Echo's second team beating out AC, 78,000 to 213. NWN beating out RNN, 74,000 to 1,500. Then we get Division 7, a little interesting here, and arguably probably the most interesting match of the division champs. NTS beating out ASC, 68,000 to 7,700. And then we have Cinna beating out LOC by a edging margin. 33,378 to 32,458, right? That's about 900-ish points that separate. This, to me, has to be the must-watch match. Or maybe we will watch this if we get some time. But anyone, if you remember, that I have a red indicator to is around 5,000 points or less that they are decided by for the match result. The fact that this match was this close, this is almost what you were hoping you'd get a little bit more of in the Epic conference for Strife, because you feel like, well, there's probably more of like the B seeds, if you will, compared to like mainly most of the A seeds kind of that made it to Legendary. But this is such a close match. I can only imagine how that had to look. Probably is a must watch. And then we get to Division 8. OMG beating out SG97, 78,000 to 2,500. WGG beating out 88D, 37,000 to 30,000. Again, this is a little bit, I guess you could, this was 0.09, right? So it's not a full one, but I had just marked it, right, with them being just a little bit lower powered. But they end up coming out on top there. For that match, Division 9, we got Rage taking on MFD1, beating them 72,000 to 4,700. EXG, 78,000 to 1,600, beating out D2A2. And again, this one is about a 0.12, right? So about 120 million differential there. So a little bit lower power, but they come edging out on top. Division 10, we got RAC beating out RS, 81,000 to 915. Ash beating out EXE, 90,000 to 878. Division 11, we got A2G beating out Mojo, 64,000 to 8,000. AFK beating out TWSK, 79,000 to 2,200. Division 12, we got WAO beating FWX, 78,000 to 1,500. TR beating out ERS, 44,000 to 18,000. Division 13, we got EIL at 84,000, beating out GRZ at 1,100. NWF beats out YBD, 34,000 to 22,000. And again, they're 360 million power less. Or is that 4? Sorry, 460 million power less. So almost 500 million power, half a bill. And they came out on top. Even if it was a little bit closer, right, still winning by about 12K there, right? So about 33 more percent. Or I guess you could say 50% of YBD. Then we get to Division 14. FWY beating out VOD. That's 82,000 to 235. N3 beating out Unique, 55,000 to 10,000. Division 15, TFS beating out 14BS, 85,000 to 3,000. RC beating out BD, 60,000 to 11.6. Division 16, we got BNR beating out, did I not highlight that? There we go. BNR beating out K211, 78,000 to 1779. Then we end up getting JPLS beating out Val, 80,000 to 131. Division 17, MFD taking on LXV, beating them 46,000 to 20,000. NWS beating out GD, 73,000 to 50 to 5,000, excuse me. And again, this is a 3.31 billion power, so you have 310 million more power in GD's favor, right? So a little bit more of an underdog, but a little bit more also of a deciding victory. Division 18, Apex taking on Mod, beat them 73,000 to 5,300. WER beating out LOM, 40,000 to 22,000. Division 19, 3-3 or Sleepy Eyes taking on SHPZ, beating them 76,000 to 2,800. CFRA beating out WOV, 58,000 to 6,600. Division 20, SCL, 70,000 beating out Seal at 6,200. LD beating out Myth, 79,000 to 2,000. Division 21, SNICS beating out VKG, 83,000 to 2,200. ASI beating out AG, 62,000 to 7,400. Division 22, we got Echoes 13 beating out LPG, 56,000 to 18,000. CLGT beating out Pod 1, 73,000 to 1,200. Division 23, we got, let's do some bolding here. DYH taking on Pod, beating them out 67,000 to 3,300. Then we had WB beating out Inwa 4, 46,000 to 17,000. Again, a little bit more of an underdog, right? 220 million less power, or 0.22 billion. So them getting the W and winning a little bit more decisively. Division 24, we got AVIC taking on Bear, beat them 60,000 to 9,500. Rage beating out Unit, 32,000 to 27,900. Division 25. And again, this is pretty close. Like, I could have made an argument, and we did put this in red, right? Because this is another close match. This probably could have been another good match to watch as well. Division 25, we had Squiggly Eyes taking on HD, beating them out 68,000 to 6,000. War taking on Ego, beating them 40,000 to 2,100, so about double the points. But they also have 0.37, so about 370 million less power there. But again, still ends up winning, even if it's a little bit closer, right? Not as over double, but I would say double is still a good spread there. 26 or Division 26, we got YSS taking on IR, beating them 72,000 to 6,300. Then we had FA defeating KOV, 72,000 to 3,000. Maybe a bit more of an upset. I mean, you're over half a bill at this point. It's 2.6 to 3.13, so you're talking about 530 million less power than KOV, right? Again, you always have to watch the match to see like who showed up, who didn't show up, right? Were the numbers somewhat even, or was everyone kind of full strength, and then you were really kind of punching up instead of punching down or equal? But again, right, they were weaker and ended up coming out on top. Division 27, NTW, which is NTS's second team, I think, or third team, taking on BHF, winning 73,000 to 6,000. HTF taking on Best, beating them 71,000 to 4,400. Division 28, ROG taking on Wolf, getting the donut sweep there, winning with 81,000 points. VP 22 taking on Go, defeating them 55,000 to 14,000. Division 29, we got 3 groups left. 21 SW taking on GDW, winning out 55,000 to 17,000. 5 PUD, which I think is the second alliance there, if that's right, from Spud. 56,000 defeating NXSC to their 9,500. Division 30, 25 IL beating out Lion, 89,000 to 830. PB defeating Suns, 58,000 to 10,000. And then we have NTA, which looks like this is the third NTS group. We have 78,000 beating out Sura, 4,700. Swag defeating Brew, 74,000 to 5,700. And the last division at 32, went through this pretty quick. NXW defeating FG, 77,000 to 5,500. And then HIP defeating FTS, 5,500 or 55,000 to 12,000. And again, this is an upset, right? You have almost 500. You're at 460 million points less, and still coming out with a W. So good stuff. Okie dokie. Let's get to your division champs. So here it is. Here are your division champs going in that we have to look forward to once the rest period finishes and playoffs start. Now, playoffs, remember, there's 3 rounds of playoffs, and then we get into, I believe, elimination at that point. Even though, yeah, because it's group rounds, right? So I believe it's going to get split up, and then we'll get a couple round robin plays, and then we'll get into the draw, right, which is your elimination bracket. So that should be exciting that we're going to be able to actually see some more matches as well. It's not just going to go like right into elimination, which is nice. But again, we'll have that on October 5th, right? So from now, what is that, 2 weeks, October 5th? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so it's about 2 weeks, right? So 12 days from now, technically, that we're going to be able to watch. Now, the interesting thing is when I go here, it says predictions and prices, predictions opening soon, right? So it says predictions mean prizes. Now, I don't know if that means that the predictions open on the 28th because it says ends in 5. But when I click go, it doesn't do anything for me. Like if I click on everything, no records, there's rules. If I want to watch matches, if I click preliminary. So I again, and I can't click anything here, right? So I mean, I can see who's in Epic, who's newcomer, right, for all the winners in each, but I can't do anything. So I'm imagining that eventually we're going to be able to cast some predictions on like how we think playoffs are going to go. I'm really looking forward to casting my predictions, but I imagine it'll open officially at some point. However, I would love to know what you guys think. Any matches that excited you, any ones you guys watched that you really thought, man, this was like so much better of a match than I thought it was going to be. Any surprises on division champs, some people that you thought might have been deserving, but maybe they didn't show up in full force. Let me know what you guys are thinking down there below. That's going to be it for me. As always,